Hoyo was really cooked with Xilonen. So Xilonen will be coming out next patch and Xilonen is going to be an absolutely beast of an unit. So today I'm going to talk about some rumors about her kit. So Xilonen will be an 5-star Geo character and she will most probably be a sword user, I guess. So Xilonen will be an support and a kind of a DPS hybrid type of character, but mostly she will be a support. So Xilonen's normal attacks are actually very interesting because she is a defense scaling character and her normal attacks do scale with attack. But if she is in Night Soul's blessing state, which is the new mechanic for all of the Natlan characters, so while she is in that mode, her normal attacks will be converted to blade roller attacks and they will have a separate multiplier that will scale off of her defense. This is the first time we are getting a character whose normal attacks will scale off of their respective stat, not only attack, which is very good. And she will also gain a Geo infusion to all of her normal attacks while she is in that state. So this is looking very good for Xilonen. But the most important and the best part of her entire kit is her elemental skill. So after you use Xilonen's elemental skill, she will enter her riding mode similar to Moalani's shark, but she has roller skates. And while she is in Night Soul blessing state, she will initially gain 45 Night Soul points, which can be increased further by her passive talents that I will cover a bit later. Additionally, she will create 3 source samples that can generate different soundscape based on her party members' elemental types. So she can have up to 3 of these source samples, and when you initially create the source samples, they will all be Geo, and depending on your party members' elemental type, if you have Pyro, Hydro, Cryo or Electro characters in your party, one Geo sampler will change to that corresponding element, and she will also deal Geo damage based on her defense, which has a multiplier of 304.6% of her defense at talent level 9, and this is the best part of her elemental skill. So when the source samples are active, nearby opponents' corresponding elemental resistance will decrease, and this goes up with her talent level. So at level 9 elemental skill, the elemental damage decrease will be 33%, and at level 10 it will go up to 36%. So just 4% less than that of the Viridescent Venereer set, which is one of the best supporting artifact set in the entire game. So you are getting Viridescent Venereer levels of elemental resistance decrease with just an elemental skill, which is absolutely broken. And this resistance decrease has a cooldown of 15 seconds, which is higher than the Viridescent Venereers, but there is a catch here. So with Xilonen's first passive talent, her normal and plunging attacks will gain following buffs based on her current source sample types. So the former of the buffs will be important because she will gain 35 Night Soul points upon hitting enemies. So the maximum amount of Night Soul point that she can have is 90, and she initially starts with 45 Night Soul points. So when her Night Soul points hit the maximum limit, she will consume all her Night Soul points and she will activate all the 3 source samples that she has for 15 seconds. So after using her elemental skill, you need to do 2 normal attacks with her to get the maximum amount of Night Soul points. Then you will have the full 36% elemental resistance decrease for 15 seconds, which is not bad at all considering her normal attacks will do Geo damage based on her defense, which is the stat that she scales with. So this will not be a complete waste of damage. She will at least do some damage. Then you can swap to your DPS, and this way you will have this buff for 15 seconds, and her elemental skills cooldown is 7 seconds, so it has a more than 100% uptime on its duration, which is absolutely crazy to think about. And not to mention that she can also equip the Hero of the Cinder City artifact set, which can give your party a total of 40% additional elemental damage bonus. So this artifact set combined with Xilonen's elemental resistance decrease makes her a very good support character. But next is her elemental burst. Xilonen activates the Phlogiston stereo mixer at full power, dealing Night Soul aligned AoE Geo damage based on her defense, which again has a very high multiplier of 478.2% of her defense. And additionally, she will trigger the following effects based on her different source samples. So if she has at least 2 source samples that have undergone elemental conversion, Xilonen will heal nearby active characters at intervals based on her defense. So currently we don't have any information about the intervals, but the healing amount will be 176.8% of her defense plus 1018 at talent level 9. So the healing will also be pretty good, and if she has less than 2 source samples that have undergone elemental conversion, she will deal additional damage, which has the same multiplier of 478.2% of her defense. And as for Xilonen's passive, well, I explained you the first passive earlier, and as for her second passive, well, it is not that important. So while she is in Night Soul's blessing state, and when her Night Soul points reaches maximum, she will trigger an effect that is similar to the Night Soul burst effect. Additionally, when nearby party members trigger a Night Soul burst, her defense will be increased by 20% for 15 seconds, and Xilonen, similar to Mualani also has the Night Realm's gift, Blessing of the Forging Fire, which is a passive unique to Natlan characters, which allows them to use their rideables even after you have consumed all of the Night Souls point by using the Phlogiston mechanic, the additional stamina bar that is above your HP bar. So Xilonen is looking to be a very good support character from Geo, which is kind of mind-boggling to think about, and not to mention that she scales with defense and most of her damaging attacks also scale with defense, so she can also dish out pretty decent damage as well. I don't think her damage will be similar to that of a main DPS, but she can still deal decent damage. I hope so. But the main focus of Xilonen's kit will be her elemental skill and her elemental burst, but mainly her elemental skill, which is the main focus of her entire kit, which should be your first priority to level up as soon as you get her. Then you can level up her elemental burst and her normal attacks if you so wish to. And as for what I think of Xilonen from a meta standpoint, so I think Xilonen will be a very good meta character, similar to how Kazuha and Furina are, because the utilities that she provide are very good, and most importantly they don't have any kind of special requirements, like you don't have to swirl specific elements or you have to do this and that to do it. You just have to cast her elemental skill and do 2 attacks with her, and you just need to have the character of the element that you want to decrease the resistance of, and you will get the resistance drop. And by the looks of it, she can heal for a good amount, so it makes her a good teammate for Furina teams as well. And also she can use the new Hero of the Cinder City artifact set to theoretically give 40% extra elemental damage bonus. So her entire kit is similar to Kazuha's, which she is directly competing with, and it's kind of ironic how we have Kazuha's rerun now and she is coming out next patch. I think it's funny, but definitely that's a power play from Hoyoverse's side. If someone missed Kazuha, then they can go for her, because Kazuha and Xilonen are kind of in the same boat. They are both supports who can both buff your teams and debuff the enemies, but they are kind of the opposite. Xilonen has built-in debuff, but she can give buffs with the artifact set, and Kazuha has damage buffs built into his kit and he can debuff using the Viridescent Venereer artifact set. So I won't say that both of them are exactly the same, but they are kind of similar characters. But Xilonen does the damage reduction better than Kazuha because you don't need to do basically anything, and her debuff also lasts for longer. But that does not mean that Kazuha will be replaced by Xilonen. Kazuha will always be a good character for many teams because of his grouping ability that Xilonen lacks, but she makes up for it by having heals. So they are both similar characters. That means you can use Kazuha in one team and Xilonen on the other team, or heck, you can even combine both of them to get absolutely crazy damage reductions and damage buffs. But what I think is Xilonen is not directly competing with Kazuha, rather she is competing with defensive support like Zhongli and Bennett, who have defensive utilities as well as some offensive utilities like Zhongli with his shield, which also reduces the enemy's resistance, and Bennett with his attack boost and his insane heals. So I think she is competing with both of them, but then again she cannot directly replace both of them. Yes, she does have heals, but Zhongli's shield is way more powerful than her heals can ever be, because at the end if you don't take damage you don't even need healing. But in Bennett's case, well, they both give healing and a respective debuff and buff, so I don't think that she can replace Bennett, because yes, they both have healing, but Bennett's attack boost is very valuable, and if you combine that with Xilonen's resistance decrease, then it will be even better. And this way you don't have to use her elemental burst that often, because Bennett's healing is more than enough. So in that team you can focus on her damage with her elemental burst, so with a decent crit ratio you can do some pretty respectable damage. So enough of my yapping. What I meant to say is Xilonen is looking to be a very good support Geo character, and hopefully she doesn't get nerfed until her release. And I haven't talked about her constellations because I don't like to talk about constellations, because I never usually go for constellations of characters, but here's all of her constellations. And TLDR, her C1 and C2 are the best for support, while C2 being her best constellation overall, and her C6 is also very good. So yeah, that was all of the information about Xilonen's kit, and if we get any more information about her kit, or if she receives some nerfs or buffs, I will be sure to update you. So make sure to subscribe to not miss out on that. And also, if you found this information helpful, then a like would be very appreciated, and I will see ya in the next one.